Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss the arguments for our government to finally recognise the Palestinian state, as otherwise, as Labour's Emily Thornberry puts it, might not be a Palestine left to recognise before long. But first, for daily news and commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So, in terms of sites of major human atrocities, the only bright spot recently has been the fall of Assad in Syria. Seems to be still no sign of hope for Xinjiang or Sudan. But since Trump's election, the outlook has become substantially worse for both Ukraine and Palestine. The United States is now demanding not only Ukraine's minerals and energy, but very recently control of their Russian gas pipeline into Europe as well. And the best they seem to be offering Ukraine in return is to divide the country up, as Germany was divided after the Second World War between the West and the Soviet Union. But Palestine faces a complete existential threat. Netanyahu seems to have dropped the act, is increasingly being open about just seizing the entire country. The official position of Israel now is that Palestine should not exist. Not that it can only exist without Hamas, but cannot exist at all. This is because, for now at least, he has the backing of Donald Trump, and there is no time to wait for Trump's presidency to end, assuming it even does on time. So France's Emmanuel Macron has suggested that France could recognise the Palestinian state very soon. The most likely time would be the UN conference on the Israeli siege of Gaza this summer. But Macron doesn't want to do it alone. Other European countries have already made the move, some of them. This isn't about a show of solidarity, much good that does. It's about affecting practical change of politics. As a result, there's a strong argument, which Labour MPs led by Emily Thornberry, who is chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, that the UK government should coordinate with this. It is already our policy formally to recognise the Palestinian state at the time of maximum impact. Thornberry has said that we may need to get a move on because there may not be Palestine left before long. Even the Conservatives used to have a policy of recognising Palestine before the final agreement was in place. So it used to be the case that we would recognise Palestine once the two-state solution was implemented. Then that was changed under David Cameron to, we probably need to do it before then. I suspect it is no longer Conservative policy given Badenoch's attitude, but I don't think she's set it out. But in practical terms, the UK, France and almost everyone else is fairly powerless to directly intervene. You see, take the difference between Ukraine and Palestine, for example. Now, we can help supply Ukraine with arms and intelligence to fight their invaders. It's a really simple, clear-cut case, and they are based in Europe. We cannot do the same to help Palestine. Not only would it be diplomatically impossible, there is no Palestinian military to support, only a gang of terrorists just as bad as Likud, right? And consider that even countries in the Middle East, who have no domestic political problems defending Palestinians against Israel, they haven't bothered to do so, have they? Why? Because they're powerless as well. We've long passed the point of hoping to appeal to either Netanyahu, who needs the war in order to stay out of prison, or the wider Israeli body politic, because they're trapped in a fortress mentality now. There is only one card to play, that is America. Yes, there's the small flaw in the plan, isn't there? We need Donald Trump, yes, that Donald Trump, the guy who wants to evict Palestinians from their own land to build hotels and swimming pools. We need that Donald Trump to tell Israel to stop bulldozing the place. This does not sound very likely, does it? And indeed, it may not be, but it's also not impossible. Trump is badly bruised right now from his tariff nonsense. This is still not over, so his potential to suffer politically over the next few months remains. He may well face concerted pressure, even from within his own party, to start reforging some traditional alliances again. And it could be argued that this summer would be a good time to get Trump to see that pointless fights where there's no profit for him are best avoided. A concerted effort from the major powers of Europe and the Middle East to pressure Trump into muzzling Israel may actually work. Frankly, I've not heard any better suggestions. It turns out that shouting at a crowd of people who agree with you thousands of miles away hasn't worked, so we may as well try something else. Several European countries have already recognised the Palestinian state, the most notable, I suppose, being Sweden, Norway, Ireland and Spain last year. The UK and France, and ideally Germany and Italy, I'm not sure about Italy, if possible, joining in and working with Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states to put pressure on Trump as well. He will be reeling from the fallout of his Liz Truss Tribute Act. So it could well be argued that if there is a moment of maximum impact, this is it. Indeed, what moment could have more impact than doing it with our closest Security Council colleague at a time of existential peril for Palestine itself, with a US government which has already done enough damage and can little afford to fight on too many fronts at once. Doesn't even mean that Trump has to give up on his plans of a Gaza Riviera development. Just work with the Palestinians to do it instead of Israeli occupiers. Netanyahu is moving quickly to render the two-state solution completely impractical. And there is strength in numbers. Like if Europe and Gulf states combine to pressure the White House, you can't see how Trump would attempt retributive action. I think if there was ever merit in choosing a time to have maximum impact to recognise Palestine, this June will be it. It's not even like it would take significant resources, other than what's needed to deal with the inevitable backlash in the Tory media. But if Labour are going to take their comms seriously, then the least they should be capable of is defending a policy which, yes, will be attacked in the media, but which is broadly supported by the public. Until recently, it was broadly supported cross-party. It's the Conservatives who changed, not public attitudes, as far as I can tell. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.